Hey, Human ClickFunnels Support here. So in this video, I'm just going to go over how we can configure the FAQ element. Oftentimes, you'll want to include a section on your website going over some frequently asked questions. You can always build this out on your own if you want by, for example, creating a 2-column row. Slide this over a little bit. We can add in a icon element. You could also use a image element here if you wanted to use a custom icon. Change that to a question mark and we'll make it a little bit smaller as well. Beside it, we would add a headline element. Change the justification. Underneath it, we'll create a 1-column row. We would add in an additional text element. You can use any one you want, but paragraph would be a good example. Then we jump into the settings for the first row. We'd get rid of any padding on the bottom. And we jump into the settings for the second 1-column row, and we get rid of any padding on the top. And then we could sort of further configure things a little bit there as well. But again, because this is something that people often do, we've created an element that will sort of just do all of this for you and save a little bit of time. So we'll delete all that. We now have a simple page set up that currently has no content. So we'll start by adding a 1-column row. Then we'll add in an element. We can click on content to get a sub-selection of just the content related elements. We'll add in the FAQ block. Because this element does contain text that works a little bit differently than some of our other elements, if you click on it, it will jump you into a text editor. To get into the settings, you can hover over it and click on the gears icon, or you can go into the elements menu, click on manage, and select the element in question. So, jumping back into the text editor, here we can do a number of things. We can bold text, we can italicize it, we can underline it, we can strike through. We can also change the justification from left, right, or center. And we can hyperlink some or all of the text. You can also get into the settings directly from the text editor by clicking on the gears icon on the right hand side. Here there's a number of things we can adjust, starting with the top margin. We can choose a font family. We can adjust the question size, which is the upper portion of the text size, which is just the lower text. And we can also adjust the color for the question, as well as the color for our answer. Clicking on the Advanced tab, by default the Styles tab will still be pre-selected. However, there's no styling that needs to be configured here. We can, though, click on the Animation tab here. To set up an animation, we can choose time delay, choosing from fade in or fade in with scale. If I set this to 1 minute and 30 seconds, for example, the FAQ block element will not appear on the screen until 1 minute and 30 seconds after the page has initially been loaded. We can configure an animation, choosing from on-page load or on-page scroll. On-page load will take effect as soon as the page is loaded. On-page scroll will only take effect when the element in question actually comes into view for the user. Finally, we can choose a style and set a delay in milliseconds. So hopefully this helps clear things up a little bit in terms of how you can configure the FAQ block element inside of the ClickFunnels editor. If you do have some more questions though or anything like that, definitely go ahead and let us know in support chat.